Aloha and welcome to Java. Thank you kindly for joining me again today. This is for Tuesday, April 16th, 2024. So, starting off with the markets yesterday, did have quite the pullback. We are now in really high risk territory. Our indicator is at extreme levels above 300, so currently at 306.8. So, with that, we are watching the relative strength of the dollar and the 10-year yield. So strength of the dollar above 106 at the moment. And that's pretty much crushing equities as the dollar is relatively strong, uh, puts pressure on the stock market, as well as the 10-year yield. The rate's rising, although not as much of an increase as the US dollar. So fear greed meter right now is pushed down into the fear range solidly from yesterday, from that green territory coming all the way down. So we've got a mixed board for the open. To me, and the way that things are going, it looks as if, along with the futures, that it's going to be a bit of a recovery. So if you got shorts on, be careful, watch those. We will probably have a bit of a recovery before going back down into this downtrend, kind of a consolidation area. So the general sentiment is they're questioning now whether it's a good spot to buy the dip. A lot of people want to rush back in. So the downtrend is still in play. But as I was saying, I do expect kind of a more positive open. We'll wait and see what happens when the market opens and brings this to us. So I think we need to readjust the levels for this new trend. The markets are kind of grinding out these new levels and consolidating. So they had to drop, another kind of hovering at this area, finding out where the buyers and sellers are in these new levels. So we just set our new levels and price points and go from there. So while this is quite market wide, there are also very specific movers within it. So we're going to go into a few of those. General market calendar, the huge thing everybody's watching today. Jerome Powell speaking again, quarter after 1 o'clock. So that will be interesting. We've also got building permits, housing starts coming out prior to the market open, and then having a look at oil with a couple other Fed presidents speaking as well. So with this opening, we got a report yesterday about retail in the United States with very hot indicators saying that they're spending. The problem with that is it's not adjusted for all of the inflation that's going down, but what it is adjusted for is that a lot of these are not discretionary spending. So I think the report is very skewed, but they are using that to manage the market, so to speak. So we've got more earnings spotlight today. We've got more banks, Bank of America and Morgan Stanley, United Health and Johnson & Johnson for that sector, and then also Rio Tinto and United Airlines specific movers. However, I'm going to be watching Microsoft and Tesla for the larger ones. Now, Microsoft just invested $1.5 billion in United Arab Emirates' top artificial intelligence firm. The name of the firm is G42. And with this, they bought their way into a board seat on this company, if you will. So what they're doing, they are quietly getting into top levels of artificial intelligence as far as they possibly can. So this is kind of their MO. They do this. And with their own chat GPT, how they can fight off the accusation of monopolies is that they're just sitting on board seats, but they're not within their own company. So with that on the other side, China is actually creating a rival for them called ErnieBot. So going against ChatGPT, which is also major Microsoft meddling, if you will. But this one is backed by Baidu. So probably I would imagine quite a bit of information gathering built in with this one, being that it is state backed. So we've got Tesla's huge in the news. They're laying off more than 10% of the staff worldwide under falling sales. You're going to hear about this. But A big part of this is that they're looking at leaning up for what's coming. They're also making a back end deal with Tata. If you haven't heard of that company, it is the Indian manufacturing company for chips. So they've got an in for less expensive chips to run the Teslas. So that could be a boom for them. One other thing I want to mention is with this banks, the Goldman Sachs came out with their profits yesterday, saying that the bulk of those profits were basically on the back of the stock market having its boom. So that should make investors think about this just for a moment, that if that's how they made most of their money, the stock market goes down, what happens to those profits? So moving into our wars and global wars. So we've got a few wars going on. We've got the physical wars. We've also got currency wars going on, as well as trade wars. So at the top of our list, because Iran is big in the news, their trade war, they are really increasing tremendously in their not just production, but now allies with Russia, and their trade has increased 26%. So they're doing well with their backing, and they've learned to kind of play a little bit better of this global game, if you will. With that, we also heard China's economic growth over 5%. So while their economy is still weak, they've got a lot of things going on. There's huge yuan US dollar trades that I believe are about to happen. We need to watch those, as well as still the Japanese yen. So these could all, in major moves, affect the United States market significantly. So with this going back to the war's military presence, we've got Marcos Jr. in the Philippines saying basically he's not giving any more access to local military bases for the United States. It's basically aggravating the region. And so he's concerned about that because that's heating up with China and Taiwan. So I want to bring up, this is the 65th birthday of the Navy's Marine Mammal Program. They've got a lot of things going on in the background that you never hear about in mainstream media for certain, but there's concerns about how they're treating the animals, all of these other things. So very quiet with this program, but still going on. They basically use them to detect mines, to plant equipment, and do multiple other things. And again, been doing this for some time. So we've got Lockheed Martin, again, defense contractor, winning a $17 billion contract to shield the US from North Korea and Iran for the missile threats. So all of this money going straight through, this is basically money laundering. This is all my opinion. You don't have to follow this, but Lockheed Martin, Raytheon, all getting these government contracts, and they're all bulk-owned umbrella company. Who do you think? BlackRock. Okay. One more note on this is that with all of these global wars going on, regardless if it's Russia, Ukraine, Israel, Iran, China, Taiwan, it doesn't matter. So we're looking at this story. They're talking about Ukraine, the largest replenishment issue and biggest pain point is chips. There are 250 chips or more in each Javelin missile launching system. So this sheds light on why they spent $52 billion into boosting the semiconductor manufacturing, and a lot of the money that they are giving to Samsung, as well as TSMC and others, because they know they cannot depend on China, which is what they had done in the past for a lot of this production, as well as Taiwan. So quick note, since we are getting some housing numbers, in real estate, we've got more kids either not leaving the family home or moving back to save up money for a deposit for the houses. Otherwise, they have no hope of purchasing a home of their own. So this has been going on for a while and continuing. So if they're talking about housing growth, it is by larger corporations purchasing and purchasing for rentals and not individuals. So with that, speaking of individuals and all of these wars going on, the US tax refunds have declined in the rebate. So basically, the IRS is keeping 3.3% more on average than was going back to Americans. So very quietly inflating several ways. So with that, I wish you all a wonderful day. And until I see you again, my friends, stay free.